Hello film patrons and welcome back to another recap. Today we're gonna cover the teen thriller, My Teacher, My Obsession. A spoiler alert is in effect, so proceed accordingly. Okay then, let's get into it. The movie begins with the school janitor getting ready to close his shift, but then he hears a weird noise coming from one of the classrooms. He decides to go check it out and suddenly he hears a scream, so he hurries up. He comes across a girl named Kyla who's on the floor and in tears. She asks him to get help and he heads out immediately. However, he meets another girl named Riley who warns him about Kyla and tells him to run. She also seems to have some blood on her hands. The scene takes us straight into the opening credits, after which we see Riley going to school with her dad, Chris. He is an English teacher who's working in the same school she's studying in, so it's a little awkward for her. However, they're making a fresh start, so they try to make it work. We meet Kyla again. She's the school photographer and she appears to be obsessed with Chris, as she takes a lot of pictures of him. But then she's interrupted by a girl named Trisha. She's a typical teenage diva who's also eager to get with Chris. This makes Kyla a little jealous. Trisha tries to flirt with Chris in class, but he avoids the situation by discussing songwriting. It leads to a brief debate between him and Kyla regarding the Beatles, but it ends in good spirits. The class comes to an end and Kyla's feelings towards Chris grow stronger. However, she feels insecure after seeing him wave at Riley. Later, she meets Riley in the computer room and they get to know each other. Here, Kyla learns that she's Chris's daughter, so she decides to make use of this opportunity by becoming friends with her. At home, Riley tells Chris about her new friend and he approves because he feels that Kyla is a bright student. When Kyla comes back home, she learns that her mom, Jess, is dating someone she met at the grocery store. Kyla is curious, but Jess says that she'll only tell her about her new mystery man when she feels like it's going somewhere. Kyla lets it be and goes to her room where she fantasizes about Chris in a dangerously obsessive way. She tries to get more information out of Riley, especially regarding Chris's wife. Here, Riley reveals that Chris and her mom had separated because she was cheating on him for a long time. In order to make Riley feel better, Kyla says that her dad had abandoned her when she was just 6 years old. It helps strengthen their friendship. In class, Trisha continues to openly hit on Chris, but he holds off her advances. It still upsets Kyla because she wants him all to herself. Later, Trisha tries to befriend Riley and advises her to stay away from Kyla, who is secretly listening in on their conversation. She confronts Riley and tells her that she should stay away from Trisha as she is the one who wants to get with her dad. To prove her point further, she also says that Trisha had an affair with their history teacher as well, and that he got fired because of it. The girls talk to each other over the phone and discuss Riley's upcoming birthday party. But Kyla comes across some bad news when she learns that it is indeed Chris who is her mom's mystery date. This leads to an awkward encounter when she opens the door and finds him standing there with flowers. Kyla doesn't want them to leave the house, so she drops some water on Chris's clothes and then suggests that they should do their date at home. She sits down with them for dinner but leaves once Chris and Jess get romantic. She can't stand to imagine them together, so she interrupts their business by screaming. She comes running down and lies about being spied on. Chris and Jess want to call the cops, but Kyla insists on letting it be and asks if she can sit with them instead. The couple obviously agrees, so Kyla's plan works towards her favor. But then, Chris tells her that Riley has gone out with Trisha that night. The next morning, she has an awkward encounter with Chris in the shower, but they brush it off. She hitches a ride with him and they pick up Riley on the way, but things are a little awkward as they head to school. Riley meets Kyla in the photo lab and asks her why she's acting weird around her. Then they have an argument regarding what Kyla said about Trisha and the history teacher. Apparently, Trisha claimed that this narrative went the other way around, so Riley doesn't trust Kyla as much now. This upsets her, so she confronts Trisha about it. However, we learn that it was indeed Kyla who was having an affair with the history teacher, and Trisha was telling the truth. At home, Kyla takes a picture of her posing with her straps off. She prints out these images and makes it look as if somebody has sabotaged her in school by flooding her locker with the same pictures. She runs straight to Chris and tells him about it. Riley notices this and starts to sympathize for her. Jess learns about it and gets to work straight away. Kyla doesn't want her snooping around too much, so she tells her that she's gotten into the college of her choice, and Jess rejoices. Kyla meets Riley later and tells her the truth about her and the history teacher. But now, Riley is fine with it because she thinks her behavior must be influenced by the trauma caused when her dad left her at an early age. When school is over, Chris offers to drive Kyla home as he's also heading there to see Jess. This only makes her more attached to him. That same night, she finds some risky texts from Trisha on his phone and shows Jess immediately. This leads to an argument, after which Jess dumps Chris. Kyla goes to meet him in his truck shortly after and forces herself on him for a bit before leaving. Now we learn that she was the one who texted him from an unknown number in order to frame Trisha. The next day in class, Trisha tries to flirt with Chris again, but Kyla cuts her off before she can distract him any further. Suddenly, the authorities come to class and take Trisha away for questioning. Kyla harasses Chris some more before leaving the class, and she seems to have control over their power dynamic now. At home, Jess tells Kyla that the authorities found a broken phone in Trisha's locker that had her leaked images on it. Of course, this was all part of Kyla's plan, so she acts as if she's also just finding out about it. She goes to Riley's birthday party and greets her for a bit but leaves the spot soon after. She goes straight to Chris's room and seduces him some more. After a little resistance, he eventually gives in and they start kissing each other, but then they're interrupted by Riley, who walks in on them. She clearly gets pissed off and goes away in a fit of rage after arguing with Chris in front of all of her friends. He gets into a brief argument with Kyla before he goes looking for his daughter but can't find her. Kyla gets angry and figures that Riley is in her way, so she has to get rid of her too. Riley texts Jess and tells her everything about what she saw. After another awkward encounter in class, Jess fetches Kyla and slaps Chris a couple of times before leaving with her. She suspects that Kyla was the one who orchestrated the whole photo fiasco as well, but is told to mind her own business because Kyla is 18 and she doesn't need her guardian's consent anymore. Chris confesses his troubles and apologizes to Riley during a heartfelt conversation, and they make up. Kyla starts to get paranoid, so she comes up with a new plan. She calls Trisha next to the school's parking and starts hitting herself in front of her. She does this long enough for Chris and Riley to witness this and come to the rescue. Trisha is taken in by the cops, and it helps add some credibility to Kyla's reputation. Riley visits her at the hospital and tells her that it's over now and she needs to let go of Chris because he's going to seek help to deal with his issues. Kyla plays along and then convinces Riley to cover for her upcoming photography stint because her hand is injured. Riley agrees and lets her talk to Chris alone. Kyla tries to convince him to be with her and they can keep their affair a secret, but he tells her that he's going to quit his job so that she can never get to him and Riley again. It ticks her off, so she decides to take more drastic measures. She picks up a blade from her room and leaves the hospital. At night, Chris goes to school to clear out his desk and leaves a voicemail on Riley's phone, telling her to meet him there. However, as she heads to the room, Kyla appears and stabs her in the stomach. Then she goes to meet Chris and holds the blade to his neck. She threatens and seduces him at the same time, but he resists her. However, she forces him to listen to her and holds the blade to his eye. After she tells him that she attacked Riley, Chris throws her away, but then she kicks him in the groin and accidentally knocks him out. Now we're taken back to the first scene, and it leads to Kyla slitting the janitor's throat right after Riley tells him to run. She chases after her into the photography room and the girls fight. After a brief struggle, Riley knocks out Kyla with her camera. Later, both the girls are taken to the hospital with Chris following after Riley. Some time has passed now, and we see Chris and Riley starting their new lives as she heads out to college. However, the movie ends with Kyla watching from a distance. And there it is, that was My Teacher, My Obsession. It's a nice take on modern stalkers and how dangerous people can become if they're not handled the right way after traumatic incidents. Like, share, and subscribe if you're new around here, and let me know some suggestions in the comments below. I'll see you soon with another video. Take care until then.